In 1993, the first video game movie was released, a live-action adaptation of Super Mario, simply titled The Super Mario Bros. Movie. It was meant to be something of an origin story for the brothers and their adventures in the Mushroom Kingdom. And
it's the biggest piece of dog shit.
yeah, you could barely even call this a movie, let alone an adaptation of the games. I could go into depth regarding just how bad it is, but plenty of people have done that already. Funny enough, it was also the beginning of many other video game adaptations that were either forgettable, unfaithful, or somehow worse. Despite this, however, the movie has received a bit of a cult following since then, but to be honest, I don't know how anyone could like this, even in an ironic sense. But as DA Games once said, now we have ourselves a new Super Mario Bros. Movie made by Illumination, fully animated and not a single live-action bit to be found. Was it any good, especially compared to other video game adaptations and Illumination's usual output? Well, that's what we're going to discuss today. Also, I'm sure you noticed by now the weird blue border I've set up, and that's because copyright's a bitch when it comes to movies. Heck, my Christmas Eve Q&A ended up getting a copyright claim just because I showed too much footage of the Mario movie. So I had my thumbnail artist make this border. Hopefully it'll keep the copyright gods at bay. If not, I have a lot of editing to do. To avoid any spoilers, I'll give you a basic plot synopsis. In the world of the Mushroom Kingdom, Bowser has captured the Power Star and plans to use it to conquer the world and win the heart of Princess Peach. Meanwhile, in Brooklyn, Mario and Luigi are trying to make a living as plumbers, but through a series of shenanigans, they end up in the Mushroom Kingdom, with Luigi captured by Bowser almost instantly, and Mario ending up in the Mushroom Kingdom where he learns of Bowser's plans. Determined to save his brother, he tags along with Peach and Toad to gain reinforcements and fight against Bowser. Simple premise that doesn't get any deeper, nor does it really need to. I mean, it's Mario, what do you expect? What matters is what it does well and what it doesn't do well. So let's get into it. The first thing you'll notice when the movie starts is that the animation is spectacular. This is usually the case for most Illumination movies, but this is their best work yet. Everything is so colorful and detailed and feels almost directly pulled from the games. Most of the characters are really good as well. Mario is a bit of a punching bag at the start, but he has a solid arc where he grows from said punching bag to the hero we know and love. He's admirable, heroic, and loyal to Luigi, forever destroying the Mario is a bad brother theory. And Chris Pratt does a shockingly good job voicing a more Brooklyn-style Mario. In fact, I almost didn't recognize him at many points. Princess Peach is very different from the games, but she's different in a good way. She's strong and capable, but doesn't overshadow Mario in any way. And while Anya Taylor-Joy is just kinda being herself, a normal Peach voice would have gotten really annoying really fast. And don't worry, Peach purists, she does get kidnapped at some point. Relax. Charlie Day also does a good job as a Brooklyn Luigi, and the character is portrayed almost perfectly. Keegan-Michael Key's Toad is good, as it's not annoying like you'd expect from Toad, while still getting the rasp that Toads have across. Seth Rogen's Donkey Kong, well, literally just himself, is quite funny and has a delightful rivalry with Mario. But of course, I have to discuss the big guy, Jack Black as Bowser. Seemingly the craziest casting ever, and yet it's perfect. While there are moments where you can tell it's him, Jack does a wonderful voice for Bowser, and the character himself is pretty much the best we've seen for Bowser on his own in a long time. He does have a fair amount of funny moments that are pretty typical of Bowser, but when he gets serious, he's a force to be reckoned with. As far as other things go, this movie is fan service galore, and it's not specific to one generation of Mario. It's for Mario's entire history. No matter which era of Mario you're familiar with, you will find something to love in both the music and the Easter eggs hidden throughout. There's even love for stuff like Yoshi's Island and Donkey Kong Country. This is how you do a Mario movie, with love and passion and not a sole desire for money, which this movie is going to make a ton of, no doubt. Of course, no movie is perfect, and this one is no exception. To get my biggest problem out of the way, the pacing is too quick. The movie's an hour and 32 minutes long, and boy does it feel like it. Barely anything has time to really settle, and it feels like everything's on fast forward the whole way through. There are some exceptions to this, most notably in the finale, but even so, the pacing is a problem. Another thing is, while Charlie Day's performance as Luigi is commendable, Luigi himself doesn't do all that much. I know that's pretty typical for Luigi, but when you title your movie the Super Mario Bros. Movie, I did expect more from Luigi. Instead, he's just kind of a background character for the majority of the movie. But in all fairness, the stuff with him at the start and the end of the movie is really great. One other problem I have is Toad. Toad is kind of pointless, but not for the reasons you think. For most of the movie, he's kinda just a comedic foil for Mario and Peach, and I didn't find him all that funny, save for one instance. Plus, his presence in general kinda amounts to nothing. He has one, maybe two moments of usefulness, but aside from that, barely anything would change if he had been removed altogether. Obviously, this is par for the course for most Toads in the game, save for Captain Toad, Toadette, and any Toad that's lucky enough to be playable, but given how prominently he was featured in the marketing, I should have reason to expect more. Aside from those criticisms, I don't have any other problems with this movie. It's just a fun movie to go to in an era where 90% of other films are either bad or stuffed with politics. Honestly, we need more movies like Mario, just fun family films that everyone can enjoy. Disney obviously ain't gonna provide that anytime soon since they're hellbent on killing themselves with wokeness, and while DreamWorks does have people talking about Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, it's more to do with the fact that the villain looks exactly like Ariel, and less so on the actual quality of the movie. Also, Trolls 3 speaks for itself. Apparently there are rumors of Illumination working on an animated Zelda movie, but I'm not sure I'm willing to trust Illumination with Zelda. They obviously got Mario down pat due to his simplicity, but Zelda is a lot more story heavy than what Illumination is used to. Maybe get DreamWorks to do this one since they did an amazing job with How to Train Your Dragon, but if Illumination is somehow able to harness that long lost writing talent they had in Despicable Me, they could probably make a decent Zelda film. As for Mario, in comparison to other video game movies I've seen, I'd say it's better than Detective Pikachu and even a little better than the first Sonic movie. However, it doesn't quite reach the heights of Sonic 2. Even though that movie isn't flawless either, it does have a bit more of a story to it, and the characters fulfill their roles a lot better than Mario. Plus, the pacing is much more even outside of 2 filler scenes. Mario may be more willing to embrace its franchise, but Sonic works better as a movie, if you catch my drift. Even so, I'm happy to award the Super Mario Bros. Movie an 8 out of 10. It's not gonna blow anyone away, but this is very much a great movie. But there is one thing that I want to discuss, and it's not about the movie. I've seen a couple people say that video game movies going forward should always be animated, not live action with CGI elements. They seem committed to the idea that just because we've had video game movies in the past that have been in live action and also bad, that animated video game movies are going to be much better. And to tell the truth, that mindset isn't going to help anyone. Just because most video game movies are in live action doesn't automatically make them bad movies. And animated movies aren't inherently good movies just because they're animated. The Angry Birds movies are fully animated movies and they've been totally forgotten at best. Heck, Resident Evil has had many movies both in live action and in animation, and none of them are bad just because they're in one form or the other. They're bad because they're shit. Bottom line, if we want video game movies to improve and follow in the footsteps of Mario, Sonic, and Detective Pikachu, we shouldn't, no, scratch that, cannot subscribe ourselves to that kind of mindset because history has told us otherwise. Do you really think something like the Assassin's Creed movie would have been better if it had been animated rather than in live action? Pah! It wishes. We seriously need to look at all 3 of these movies and learn the right lessons, which I'll outline right now. Lesson 1. Consider the game you're adapting. Many games have specific art styles and tones that work better in one form or another. Mario obviously worked a lot better in animation because Mario is inherently cartoony to the point where you can't do a live-action Mario movie. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, Halo is far more serious and grounded and works better as a live-action movie. You probably could do a CGI Halo movie, but live-action works better. Same deal with Uncharted and Mortal Kombat. Some people have pointed towards the Sonic movies and Detective Pikachu as movies that should have been animated, but honestly, they're all wrong. Not only do both franchises have enough realistic elements to them that make them work in live action, but they were also good movies despite being in live action. I'm not saying that they wouldn't work in animation because they obviously would, but you can't tell me that they don't work in live action because they're proving you wrong right here. Lesson 2. Make a good original story that fits with the games. You don't want to pull too much from the games to the point where it feels like you're just watching one of the games, but you also don't want to tell a story that doesn't fit within the context of the games. The first Sonic movie was kind of the latter, but it still works since it got the soul of the characters right. Uncharted attempted to tell an origin story for Nathan Drake, but it failed because it didn't feel like it was an Uncharted movie, from the bad casting to the surgically removed pieces of the games in cities they don't belong. Similar case with Silent Hill, where the story didn't resemble anything for the games, aside from the Pyramid Head showing up for no reason. Mario and Sonic 2 are not only able to tell original stories, but they're also able to feel like they belong in the universe of the games, just in a different continuity. Lesson 3, and perhaps the most important one, always respect the fans and source material. I don't know why this one is so hard to understand, but apparently it is for a lot of people. So many video game movies aren't like the games to the point where they're only like them in name and not much else. Monster Hunter has basically nothing to do with the games, and it caused a lot of people to hate it. Then again, what do you expect from Mr. Paul W.S. Anderson, who just loves to ruin Capcom IPs for the sake of money? I swear, if he touches Devil May Cry and casts Mila Jovovich as anyone other than Trish, I will commit a war crime. Back on topic, Sonic, Mario, and Pikachu had love and respect for the games poured into them. Hell, Mortal Kombat, in spite of its problems, had at least some love for the games in it. I've heard the counter to this is that the newcomers won't recognize things from the games if you're too faithful, but that shouldn't be a criticism at all. Who the hell are you making a video game movie for if not the fans of the video game? If newcomers like what they see and what they see barely resembles the games, they're just gonna get confused. I guarantee you the worst thing you will do by being faithful to the source material is please the fans of the source material. Lesson 4, for the love of God, keep the woke shit in the flaming landfill where it belongs. This was more so a problem with Hollywood as a whole lately, but I still want to address this because video game movies aren't immune to this either. I know this because in the original draft of the Mario movie, Mario and Luigi were going to be sidelined in favor of making Peach the girl boss. Ugh. Right, because when I go to see a movie titled The Super Mario Brothers Movie, I expect to see Princess Peach, aka the poster girl for Damsel in Distress and Dumb Blonde, to be the only one kicking ass and taking names. As another example, the Dungeons & Dragons movie apparently emasculated its male characters so that they can prop up their female characters. Guys, I'm gonna be real with you. Demeaning men does not make women look better. It only makes women look like assholes for doing so. Thankfully, Nintendo stepped in and made Peach on more even ground with Mario, but D&D wasn't so lucky, and now it's bombing. Even outside those examples, pandering to the woke crowd is a bad idea in general because of how unpleasable they are and how much every other sane person hates that stuff. It's why Disney is slowly dying and why other movies are shining bright. Everyone in the woke crowd is simply unreasonable and impossible to please. You wanna know how I know? John Leguizamo, the guy who played Luigi in the live-action Mario movie, is attempting to boycott the current Mario movie because it's not inclusive, further stating that it's racist due to its mostly white voice cast and no Latino representation. Translation, I'm salty about not getting recast as Luigi, so I'm gonna throw a hissy fit. It's these lessons that need to be learned going forward because without them, we will continue to get more garbage products like Monster Hunter and Uncharted. Movies that have 0 ounce of heart or soul put into them and are purely made for the sake of making money. In this day and age, we need movies with heart and soul. We need to see more good movies that aren't stuffed with politics and deep messages. Video game movies can be that if given the right direction, but if people aren't willing to give them that direction, movies like Mario will just be exceptions. Remarkable exceptions, but still exceptions. Just wanted to address this and figured this would be a good time to do so. If you want my thoughts on upcoming video game movies, here you go. The FNAF movie looks incredible, don't screw up the Metal Gear movie, the Silent Hill 2 movie, and live-action Pac-Man's going to be a nightmare. Next time's Everything Right and Wrong with Kirby in the Forgotten Land with a Friend. Yes, I'm finally doing another E-Raw. See you next time.